This new venue, this amazing venue, but also a new partnership with the A Centres. Next week, Communication Works will be held in the north of England for the very first time. Thanks to Anna Reeves and her team for enthusiastically following the same format and linking closely with their special school in Newbridge. Communication Works has always been, provided a platform for young people using assistive technology to share their skills and experiences. It's an opportunity for young people, families and staff to try out new and emerging technologies. We've run this conference for more than a decade, and when I think back to the first event, touchscreens and mobile devices seem groundbreaking. Today we take them for granted, but these technologies have improved life for so many of those facing the most complex barriers. The accessibility of tablets in particular have transformed access to communication. Today we see such a wide-ranging innovation in technology. Our choices are forever increasing. Our hope is that these new developments will also become part of universal design, improving social inclusion and teaching practice across the education sector. However, everyone who needs assistive technology or augmentative and alternative communication should be able to access it. And they need us, their professionals, to know about these tools, to help them acquire them and use them in their everyday lives. #GetSeen is the theme of this year's event. Its aim is to raise the profile of those who benefit from this technology so that professionals and others can learn from the real experts. #GetSeen was inspired by our AAC consultant, Abdi Omar, who you can meet at his stand today at Abdi Enterprises. I'd like to thank everyone for supporting Communication Works this year, but especially all the young people who are either here in person, on video, or via the No Isolation robot from home, as one of our students, Adam, is today. They are with us today thanks to the fantastic support from all their schools. Today's event is also a classroom. We have first year media students from Shooters Hill College, who will be recording the events of the day. So thanks to Shooters Hill and to Flo, who's a university student who's helping to oversee them. I'd also just like to point out that we've got Pen Mendonza, who's going to be graphic recording the day as well, hopefully capturing some of the feedback and thoughts from people down on the far wall. I would just like to acknowledge the commitment and creativity of all the companies exhibiting today as well, and the CENMAC team who have worked so hard during the last 2 years. Finally, thank you to Mark Dale-Emberton, the Principal of Cheltenham Park Academy and CENMAC. It is his passion, vision and investment that continues to enable us to trial and develop the tools and practices that can unlock the potential in everybody. I'd now like to hand over to Kamani, who's one of our very talented and creative CENMAC students, who's going to run through some messages and introduce the keynote speakers. So thanks, Kamani.
Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Catherine. Hello everyone, my name is Kamani and I'm 15 years old and I attend Oasis Academy. I am a CENMAC ambassador and I've used assistive technology since I was in reception class when I used big keys, keyboard and joystick mouse. I now use a Surface tablet with some additional software. I run a small business that specialises in arts and craft boxes for kids that are not only creative but educational. I aspire to be a TV presenter. I am pleased to be here today to introduce our speakers and to give some important notices. First of all, in the unlikely event of a fire, please follow the fire exit signs. Anyone using a wheelchair will be guided to exit through Seminar Room 1. Toilets are located at the rear of both seminar rooms. A disabled toilet is located at the rear of Seminar Room 1 or downstairs by reception. I will be making an announcement 5 minutes prior to the seminar started. Please support transition. Please support transition between seminars by vacating the rooms quickly after each session. We are filming the seminars to make available after the event, so please don't worry if the room is full or you miss one. Please also seek permission when taking any photos, especially if they include young people. We hope you make the most of the hashtag #GetSeenPhotoBooth, which is over there by the entrance, and share this on your social media. Thanks to Apavo, who have donated a visualizer for a raffle prize. Please visit the CENMAC stand to sign up. Please also help yourself to refreshment provided over there. So now I'd like to introduce Toby Hewson. I had the pleasure of meeting Toby when I interviewed him for our Instagram videos. I learned that Toby is very independent and keeps very busy working and socialising. Toby believes it is very important that people using AAC receive good backup from professionals. So great we have him. So great we have him here today. I'm looking forward to hearing his speech. Over to you, Toby.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank Anna and Catherine for inviting me here today to talk to you. May I introduce you to my personal support assistant, Sally. She is part of a team of 8 personal support assistants, PSA for short, that allow Helen and I to live independently. Before I start, I must ask everyone to keep my talk today a secret and not tell anyone, because if the government get to hear that being disabled can be a good thing, then they will work very hard to change it. When talking about a life with a disability, it is very easy to be negative, because let's face it, there is a large negative side to disability. But today I am going to be a little different, because I am going to talk about the positive side of being disabled and all the good things that can come out of it. To achieve anything in life, you must be prepared to work. If you have a disability, you, and everyone around you, have to work even harder than the average man. But my life proves that hard work is worth it, because I didn't get where I am today by sitting on my bottom. Well, actually, yes, I did, but you know what I mean. So let me tell you a bit about myself. I was born in January 1981. It was by all accounts a difficult birth, but I cannot remember much about it. I was diagnosed with cerebral palsy just before my first birthday, which was somewhat of a relief to Dad and Mum, because they finally knew the reason for some of the difficulties we were encountering as a family. Many parents would have been frightened, but not mine. They took it in their stride and did as much research on cerebral palsy as they could. I was treated as their son and allowed to do everything that a normal child would do. My family worked hard to make it possible for me to join in all the family activities. I have 2 cousins who are just a few years older than myself. They used to drag me around everywhere with them, including throwing me down their water slide and tying my tricycle to the back of their bikes and dragging me around the village. For all of the time I went to primary school, up to age of 12 I communicated with my eyes. head and other parts of my body, and by the time I was 4 I had a word book, and that is how we talked. At the age of 14 my parents and I went for my assessment to the ACE Centre in Oxford. We spent a very long brain-sapping day there. Their recommendation was that I have a Liberator, but I liked the Chameleon. It appeared cool in comparison to the Liberator. I went with my heart and chose the Chameleon and spent the next few years ruining my decision as the Chameleon spent most of its life in the repair shop. I got my first reliable communication aid when I was 18 years old, and guess what it was? iLiberator. For 2 years I learned how to use it and how to speak the new language with Nicole, my speech and language therapist, often for 2 hours every day of the week. It was very hard work, but the rewards were great. But to be completely honest with you, at the time my main incentive was that Nicole was young, very pretty and very sexy. I am not sure these two sentences should be following one another, but in July 2019 I married my lovely wife, Helen. Helen came to live with me in West Sussex. A lot of my independence I owe to my mother putting my name down on the housing list at the age of 16 because she said she was not putting up with having me using her as an unpaid housekeeper all of her life. The local council came up trumps and offered me a lovely little bungalow which they adapted for me. I lived happily in there for several years until a bungalow became free in the same village as Mum and Dad, which I brought and adapted 15 years ago. I got a real buzz out of helping the architect to design my bungalow to my needs. And then each week I met with the builder to see how he was getting on and to tweak any designs that didn't quite fit my needs. I have embraced and exploited being disabled, and because of that, I have lived a very exciting and eventful life. There are advantages to being disabled, if you look for them. For instance, most but not all of the hotels in the Holiday Inn chain will, if you book the accessible room, give you your carer's room free, but you do have to ask when booking. Also, if you have the opportunity to go to Disneyland in Florida and your disability is as profound as mine, instead of queuing for over 1 hour for every ride, you get taken around to the exit and get straight onto the ride. When I was there, I went on the roller coaster called the Kraken, and when the ride was finished and everyone had got off, they asked me if I would like a second go. Silly question. Of course I would. The places I have been, due solely to my disability, include New Zealand, Brazil, Norway, Czechoslovakia, Portugal, 10, Downing Street and the Houses of Parliament loads of times. Did you know that there is a tunnel underneath Westminster Bridge Road running between the Houses of Parliament and Portcullis House? There is. I have been along them. I have also met some amazing people. Robbie Williams, Phil Collins, Bob Monkhouse, Vera Lynn, James Bolam, Princess Anne, and no end of MPs. I have for many years volunteered as a trustee for one charity or another. I have been a treasurer, vice chair, co-chair, and I was the first ever AAC user to be chairman of an ISAC chapter. I have always found this work very rewarding and can thoroughly recommend it to anyone who has time on their hands. My life is not entirely made up of work. I have had a very active recreational life too. In my younger days when I had more time I represented England at boccia. Now that I am older, I referee. I played wheelchair football for Brighton. Most football teams have a wheelchair team, and I can thoroughly recommend this to anyone who likes a fast, physical, quick-thinking game. But my favorite hobby is skiing. I took Helen for her first skiing holiday 2 weeks before the first lockdown. We both use a sit ski without riders and have someone behind to help with any difficult bends. I cannot think of a better way of escaping life's restrictions. This is just the tip of the iceberg as to where I have been and what I have done. And these opportunities would not have been available to me if I did not have a disability. So, when I am asked if there was a miracle cure for cerebral palsy, would I take it? I quite categorically say no. As a disabled person, I am special. Yes, I am. There are over 1 million disabled people in Britain, but there are over 67 million non-disabled. That makes us special. Going against the theme here is the one negative piece in my talk. There are obviously many disadvantages to being disabled. With me, it is my communication aid. I am not complaining. It is of course an amazing piece of kit and I would not have got anywhere in life without it. But because it has no inflection to the voice and the voice does not portray emotion. The one thing that really annoyed me was in my youth. My inability to effectively chat up the girls. Seriously, my communication aids have all given me so much, as they are far more than just communication aids. Through either infrared or Bluetooth, I can independently, therefore completely privately, receive phone calls, send text messages, write emails, go on Facebook. This is so much better than asking a parent or SAR to write or talk for me. At home I can open my windows, which are set up with infrared. One page on this accent is a complete television remote. A small problem is, the signal is so strong that it turns the living room and kitchen televisions on together. One of my best achievements was to start up my own charity called Just Different. We employed disabled people to present positive, interactive workshops to schools and businesses to educate people about living with a disability. In the 13 years we operated, Just Different employed over 30 profoundly disabled people, many of whom, having got work experience, used us as a stepping stone to go on and find regular employment. We delivered workshops to over 250,000 school children and young people. Sadly, we were forced to close in October 2021 due to the pandemic. But in the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I will be back. I don't have any plans to have anything as big as Just Different, because if I am honest, Just Different was a lot of work and worry. But I am looking to start something small with just my wife Helen and myself, talking to children and adults alike, as I believe that there are a lot of people out there that still need to know that disabled people are just that, people, and like everyone else in the world, we like to be treated with respect. One thing I can guarantee, every time we talk, it will be positive, interactive, fun and educational. Now a few words from the heart to you all. It is simple to say but hard to do. What people like me need from our families and the professionals in our lives above everything else is to always be ambitious for us, but ambitious beyond your dreams, always. To help us develop our skills so that we can get out there and show the world that we can make the same and sometimes an even better contribution to the world as anyone else. But we cannot do that if we are endlessly reminded of our disability. We want you to concentrate on our abilities, and bringing out the very best in all of us. That's how we will get on and make our mark in the world like everyone else. You must not think I just arrived here by a fluke. It was not like that. I have had to graft very hard to get where I want to be. I can tell you loads of stories about discrimination I have encountered throughout my life, but it is so negative. And do you know what? That negativity gets me nowhere except more negativity. I could not have even got halfway to where I am today without the ambition and support of my mum and dad, a good family, friends, and some very special teachers and therapists. All of them were ambitious for me beyond their dreams. If anyone wishes to contact me, you can email me on tobygihewson@outlook.com. If you were unable to write that down, just catch me around the room today. Thank you for listening. Does anyone have any questions?
Thank you, Toby. As I said, everyone, an inspiration to look up to. We are now going to play a short video by Annie McCulver from the Department of Education, who will give us a brief update.
Thank you to Anna at the A Centre for inviting me to speak about the department's work on assistive technology. I'm sorry I'm not able to join in person. I'm Annie McCulver, Head of Markets and Capability in the Digital Strategy Division. Our programme of work on assistive technology kicked off in 2019 with the EdTech strategy. This challenged the research community to identify the best technology proven to help level the playing field for learners with special educational needs and disabilities. Since then, we've launched the EdTech Demonstrator Network, which included support to schools using assistive technology. We've published a rapid evidence assessment working with an assistive technology expert group, which identified that AT was an underutilised intervention with the strongest evidence base behind alternative and augmented communication and an emerging evidence base for accessible educational materials. The review recommended the government look at training. As awareness of the disruption on SEND learners increased during the pandemic, the department partnered with National Star to launch a training programme for teachers, which had really positive feedback. After evidence gathering this year, we partnered with Nathan and Microlink to test a sector-led approach to training teachers using assistive technology. This is to inform wider SEND training and other training schemes, and we're working with Cooper Gibson as the independent evaluator. The resources for this pilot are available online, and I wanted to draw your attention to one in particular, a self-evaluation form. This was really highly rated by participants and let schools rate themselves on 10 elements of assistive tech use to say where they currently are and where they'd like to be. It shows them where their key areas for improvement are, and there are supporting resources to help with each of the areas. Also online is a standalone resources, including the Accessible Tech Thursday webinar series created by the EdTech programme. So what's next? The resources are available to all on the NASEN website. An independent evaluation will be published in June, and we want to hear from the sector and people like yourselves about what we should do next. So please do get in touch. My email address is there. Really welcome your thoughts. Thank you.